BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to invite you to a conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. Before I get started, though, I'd like to check in with the chat group there. I see Mary Jean is there, and I'd like to ask Mary Jean and anybody that would like to speak, if you could hear me clearly coming through, and that would be very nice to hear. I see Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez is here. Elizabeth, if you can let me know if you're hearing this broadcast, if my voice is coming through. And if you do hear it, then start writing it out so that I can see that you're typing. They give me a little idea whether or not people are typing here. And so everybody, we have to do this occasionally on BlogTalk because there are occasional technical issues with BlogTalk. So far, nobody in the chat room is typing whether or not they can hear me. And so I have a feeling that I might be just talking to the air. Mary Jean is typing now. And we'll see if it's... hi, Mary Jean. Excuse me. Okay. Just let me know if you can hear me. Oh, I can hear you. Okay. Mary Jean says that she can hear me, so I'm going to assume that everybody else is able to hear me as well. And so once again, I'd like to welcome you to this conversation about the Kundalini and your Kundalini experiences. And I want you to feel free to call in. If you'd like to call in the show at any time, the number is United States area code 347-934-0026. That's area code 347-934-0026. And that's if you want to call in to the show. And you can either listen to it on your telephone, or you can come in and listen to it with your computer, or come into the chat room. So there we have it. Today, I'd like to talk with you about sacred male, about Shiva, about that which descends. We don't talk about Shiva too much. We don't talk about sacred male so much because we're so wrapped up in the patriarchal attitudes of the Western technological societies in the year 2016. And, women can't even get paid the same amount of money for the same amount of work. And really, even for superior work, they get paid less than a man because of this attitude in society. And so for a large part, that's just one reason. For a large part of the deal with the Kundalini, we're focusing on the sacred feminine, not only because she is the sacred mother and she is gestating our Kundalini phenomena, our Kundalini expression in the body, but also because so much attention is given on disenfranchising the feminine in our society. And so I like to give as much credit as possible to the sacred mother, to the sacred feminine, because it is such a strange concept to the people in the West here. We even have religions out there right now, Christians actually, that are so gung-ho about having a woman put into her place that she has to take the commands of the man, and she has to do basically, a live-in slave type of thing with a male. And this is not so with the Kundalini. With the Kundalini, it's a 50-50% scenario, 50% sacred male, 50% sacred feminine. And we should emulate that in our lives. We should definitely emulate that in our lives. But today, because most of the shows, we're talking about Kundalini and the Sacred Mother. Well, today I'd like to talk about the Sacred Father. I'd like to talk about the the gift of destruction. I would like to talk about the gift of creation within the context of the sacred male and the Kundalini. And in many cultures, the sacred male will have a certain name in the, of course, Allah in Islam is a male, and of course Jesus is a male in the Christian context, and God is also a male in the Christian context, and all the angels are men too in the Christian context, and gosh, how does that work out? But anyway, in Hinduism, Shiva is the sacred male, and often within the Kunalini context, we'll borrow some of the words that the rishis, the ancestors of modern day Hinduism, that the rishis wrote about in the Rig Veda and some of the other Vedas. And Shiva being the sacred male, the destroyer, Shiva the destroyer. And I don't know, for those of you that have little boys as children, little boys, and I was one of these little boys, just love to destroy things. And of course, build them back up just so you could destroy it all over again. Okay? So there is a grace and a beauty to destruction. There is a grace and a beauty to destroy the control that the ego has over the physical being and the physical consciousness of the physical being. To destroy that hold that the past has over us, that our societal programming has over us, and the Shiva is there, the sacred male is there to destroy those connections, to destroy them in a way that no longer allows you to be controlled by them. And so you need to come 50% of the way with this, and really understand that you may be destroying the connections to the control ethic that the ego has over you, and that society as an exterior ego has over you. But you're not destroying society, and you're not destroying the ego. You're just not allowing those qualities to control you anymore. And this is very important. Some people run a little bit more male energy in the morning because that's when the sun comes up, and the sun rising is very much like a Shiva lingam rising up, feeling the increase in the flow of life, and feeling. And this is where a lot of the Qigong people come out, and they come out from 3 to 6 in the morning, actually from 3 to 7 or 8 as well, so that they can experience that development of prana, and that development of the sap rising in the morning, and the energy rising in the morning. Very, very, very important for people to understand this, and to understand that this does have direct correlation with the Kundalini. Sacred male is often present in the morning for many, many, many people, especially those within an activation. And so it's very important for you to understand that you can have the sacred male and still be totally and completely surrendered to the Kundalini. You don't have to have a lion on your shoulder, having you yell and scream and try to get your way with everything. That's just a person that doesn't have their ego in control yet. And so the Shiva, the sacred male, allows us to feel his grace, to feel his power, to feel his influence on our lives vis-a-vis, at first, just the natural cycles of the day and night. Okay, and those natural cycles of day, nocturnal and diurnal, they have a direct input upon our Kundalini awakening equation. And so you'll feel certain levels of maleness in the morning quite often. And if you're a woman, you'll still feel this. You might feel the presence of your spouse or your husband or your boyfriend, or just the essential sacred masculine himself rising with you in the morning. This gives you the power to rise up out of the bed, put your clothes on, take a shower, whatever your morning routine is. And it's very, very, very important for people to begin within a Kundalini context to give equal footing, equal equal admiration, equal love, equal recognition to the sacred masculine in our lives. Kundalini, awakened Kundalini, is where the sacred marriage has occurred in the seventh chakra at the top of the head. That is what we are striving towards, is that awakening event, which never goes away. The activation of Kundalini is driving us towards that awakening event, and we do all these different practices, and we collect as much different information as we possibly can in order to achieve that, to have that spinal sweep, to have that union with the divine, to have the union with grace. And it's very, very important that you recognize the Shiva, the sacred male, the Jesus, the Allah, the Buddha, all of these sacred masculine understandings that we have in the society. Even Zoroastrian, people, recognize a dominant male force within their religious structure. But once again, with Kundalini, it's a 50-50 format. 50% sacred feminine, 50% sacred masculine. And this is very important to remember. So now when you're going out, for those of you that are in the awakened or activated state, when you go out, I'd like you to look around the environment. See that a tree has the properties of a sacred male, especially a pine tree or coniferous tree will have that straight trunk going straight out from the ground with the branches spreading outward, not so much like a deciduous tree or a maple tree or something like that, but as a straight tube. If you look straight down it, you can see it as kind of like a tube or like a bottle brush. And you can see that quality of sacred masculinity within it. And of course, the pine tree itself and the coniferous trees in general have a very, very, very cone shape, a conical shape to them. And that cone can be seen as a long cylindrical object that is protruding from the soil of the earth, from the sacred feminine, and reaching towards the sky to receive that solar radiation. And that solar radiation is also an aspect of sacred masculinity. The earth is the sacred feminine, and she nurtures and she gestates and she grows and she causes life to be given at the earliest stages of life, and when that plant breaks through the darkness of the soil and encounters the sunlight, the solar radiation, well, that's the sacred father coming in. The sacred father's radiation will even penetrate the ground, penetrate the dirt and the soil, and also begin to encourage that plant to rise up, to have that rising occur. It's just like a man having erection. The same thing, the rise occurs within that. And through that rising, life can be given. Life can be given. And the Kundalini can also, within a tantric understanding, can also be given in that way. And it's very, very important for people that are practicing Tantra to recognize sacred masculinity as well as sacred femininity, and not to disparage one through lack of mentioning, which can lead people into invalidating it. And there are people on the web right now that are just totally ignoring sacred masculine and totally adoring sacred feminine, and that's just half the deal, folks. That is half the deal. And so when you look around the environment, you see in our age, the way we consciously and subconsciously worship sacred masculinity or patriarchal constructs. Well, even in our buildings, they're very much, they're very tall and very strong, and in a way very, very much resembling the sacred male gender artifacts of masculinity, such as the penis and testicles, things of that nature, and you can see that in our cities. You can see it as you're flying into them, as you're landing. You can see these things go straight up. They're very cylindrical looking, even the square shaped ones. have that quality of sacred masculinity, and that's because of our society and how we focus on maleness in general. If you go to a different society, well, you'll see different levels of architecture. Some of the Baroque Indian architecture on the subcontinent of India, it's very, very different. It's very open to the sacred male and the sacred feminine blending together. And even in some of the sacred other areas, sacred like ancient Egypt and some of the statues that you'll find up near Lake Titicaca, near the border of Bolivia and Peru, you'll see sacred feminine and sacred masculine conjoined together in an architectural format. And it's very, they're very beautiful. They're very beautiful. And this ties in directly with the Kundalini. Now, when the marriage takes place on top of the head, the sacred male and the sacred female are embracing in a permanent bond of oneness. And this is where that ancient code, that being the two that are one and the one that is two, that is where this comes from. Because as they are separate, they are also individual, and as they are individual, they are also unified. And so it's a matter of having polarities that go beyond one end of the spectrum or another. They are both, and they are singular. They're plural and singular at the same time. And this is a hard time, for people, that get into this oneness idea. Well, they're half right. They are one, but they are also individual. And so plurality and singularity at the same time exist within the Kundalini. And so as we visit the top of the head with the crown chakra and the Shakti and Shiva coming together, well, that is the construct. That is what is happening. That is the feeling. You feel the solar and the lunar, the solar being the masculine and the lunar being the feminine, and they come together. They come together at the top of the head. And so, it's very, very important for people to realize that sacred masculine has a big role to play inside of the Kundalini. And so those of you that are on this path, that are being pulled by this path, activated by this path, awakened by this path, it's very important for you to begin to also give validation, give reverence, give worship, give recognition to the sacred masculine in your life, just not to the degree where it overpowers sacred femininity. It's the sacred couple, it's the sacred marriage between sacred masculine and sacred feminine that counts. It's the father and the mother that are married, that are striving towards helping us come into strong levels of grace that we understand to be Kundalini activation or Kundalini awakening. And I'm going to test something out here. I'm going to bring Santara on board. Hello, Santara. Can you hear?
Hi, Chrism. Can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can hear you. Not so at first, but you're coming through loud and clear now.
That was hard work. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you had to do. Are you? But you did.
It's all fine. I'll go back in the blue. I haven't heard a word, but I'll go back in the blue and I'll catch up on what our topic is today.
You haven't heard? You haven't heard anything?
No.
Just because you haven't been listening, or because of the technology?
Because of the Skype. I had to go off, and I had to. Very complicated.
Back and forth. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Okay, I put you in the blue here. And so as you drive around, here in the West and in Europe and Australia and parts of South America, anywhere where there's a lot of English being spoken. Certainly in India as well. I will invite you to look at certain frequencies of blue. These frequencies of blue are typically deep, dark, but they're also very, very scintillating. They're almost sparkly blue, and it's a blue that just pulls you in. It's a level of cobalt blueness that if you take that cobalt blue, and you can get some of those bottles online that are like the dark blue medicinal jars, but these are like wine bottles. I have wine bottles here, and I have other kinds of bottles that have that frequency of blue. And I want to invite you to really look at that frequency of blue with the right eye. And if you can do it safely, look at it in the sunshine. Don't necessarily look at the sun through the glass, because that's still going to hurt your eye. But put your eye right up to the blueness, and just look at the environment under a sunny day, and just let your eye drink of that frequency. It's very similar to what we do with the deep dark blood red for the sacred feminine, and how we put that up to the left eye, and with the sacred male, you put that deep dark beautiful blue, and you put that up to your eye, and you just allow your eye to drink that in and to feel it.
Okay, guys, I think Chrism has suddenly left us. I am hearing nothing, and I am looking at the switchboard, and Chrism is not there. And I just pressed a button that said continue with the show, so I'm assuming he was bumped off, and he will be back again shortly. Unfortunately, as you may have realized, I have no idea what the topic today was about. I'm listening to him just now, speaking of frequencies of blue and cobalt blue, so I'm going to assume he's talking about the sacred male or the divine male, and he mentioned the red, so he's possibly speaking about the divine feminine. I'm not sure. But what I'm going to do until he comes back is I will give you the place you can go to, and if you would like to make a donation. That's always good for a little bit of tap dancing until Chrism returns. Are people hearing me there in the chat room? Elizabeth, I can see you, and I can see other people. Just type in there, please, if you can hear me. Yeah, it's definitely Chrism is gone and not me. Okay, so I'm going to give you the website that you can go to, and it's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com, and there you will find a donate button. And if you're in a position to donate, that would be very much appreciated indeed. But you know that I say to you every week that it's not necessary. Now, last week I gave a big long spiel about, the importance of donation and all of that. And that still holds true. And there are different ways that you can donate as well. I was telling you about Western Union, and there's also a PO. Here he is. So, hi, Chrism.
I got bumped right off, just like everybody else.
I know, but at least I was on, so I saved the episode.
Yes,
so that's cool. I'm glad I was here to do that.
Nice tap dancing. I appreciate that a lot.
So tell me something. Are you discussing the divine male and the divine female, the sacred male and female? Feminine?
More of the divine male today.
Oh, okay. I thought perhaps that was it. Okay. Going into the blue again.
Thank you, my dear. Yeah, and so you look at that blue color, and you let your eyes drink that blue color, but look around your environment and see where blue comes into play. The blue sky, perhaps the blue waters, that blue car ahead of you, the blue dress that a woman may be wearing, or the blue tie that you might see on a person, and begin to respond to the sacred blue. The sacred blue is the sacred male, and that's part of the reason why he's associated with the sky and with the metal gold, because of the gold sun that you can experience in many different places of the world. It's very interesting to look in the wildlife and see levels of that dark blue, like on a blue jay or a western bluebird or an eastern bluebird, or even on reptiles, on certain snakes, you'll have these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful blue sacred male colors. I know there's a spider that I think you can get from Southeast Asia, and it's extremely venomous, but it's so beautifully blue that people just want to get them and collect them, and so now, of course, they're becoming endangered. But there's just levels of blueness that are just so gorgeous. And I want to encourage you to drink that in. It's not all about Sacred Mother. 50% of it is, but 50% of it is sacred Father as well. Very, very important to recognize the strong support that sacred masculine gives us. And I'm going to ask a few people some of their opinions about sacred masculine here. And who do we have here? Who is this? Who is this? This must be Brooke. Is this a 347 number? Are you there, Brooke?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
I'm just walking into.
Yes.
I don't know if I can talk very long.
Okay. You go ahead and just listen then. I know you're coming up to the tire counter. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm going. Yes.
Okay. All right. That's okay. And I'm going to come on over here, and I think this is Rosemary here. Hello, Rosemary.
Hello there, Chrism. I'm listening.
Tell me how you honor the sacred male in your life. Tell me what's going on with that.
Did you mean in myself or in others or
both?
Both. I don't think I pay attention to the male in myself, although if, as you're talking about it, I can see things that are more those traits in managing things. That's what I associate with that. And in others, I guess I look in a stereotyped way. I don't think of people as having both of those traits, as you are reminding us, and it's a good thing to be thinking about and to appreciate. I think I've taken in some attitudes of our culture that these are separate and they're distinct and they don't blend in us. And if I think part of the belief is that they're not supposed to be there. And to be a strong woman is to be only feminine. But from what you're saying, it just gives me a lot to think about and to appreciate in myself, because I have a number of traits that would be in that category of masculine traits of managing and creating and more of an independence than women are thought to have, which isn't true at all either.
Right.
So
right,
I don't know if it makes any sense or not, or answers your question.
Well, I think it does. I think it gives us a good idea and a very honest and idea about how you're currently, recognizing sacred masculine in your life. And so I just want to encourage you to see the sacred masculine all the way around. And as you were a nun for 25 years, you were worshiping Jesus, sacred masculine, every day. Was that not so?
Sure.
Wasn't it all about Jesus?
Yeah, and
God,
his guidance, and serving Him and listening for His guidance and direction.
Exactly.
And I thought about, that's interesting you're saying that, because I've often thought about it was God's guidance that took me out into the larger community than the smaller community of sisters I was in. That was guidance, in that way.
Right. But the problem with it is when you just focus on one gender, you invalidate the effects that the conjoined or the unified couple, sacred mother, sacred father, give to you, and then you just kind of ascribe it to one gender or the other, like we do quite often with sacred feminine. Shakti. We're always saying Shakti this, listen to your Shakti, Shakti that. We're not saying, except in some folks are saying like Om Namah Shivaya Om. They're talking about the sacred male with that prayer. But in the West, as we come into certain understandings about the Kundalini, well, we're not so clear on recognizing sacred masculine and sacred feminine together, the sacred parents. And I'd like to invite you, my dear, to focus on that and to realize that, and to, as you're, massage the top of your head with your hands. Just so, not only does it increase the blood flow, but it also gives you an opportunity to express validation for the sacred couple rather than going to one gender or the other. So I'm going to invite you to do that, Rosemary, and I'd like to thank you for participating in the show today. Thank you.
You are welcome, and I'm rubbing my top of my head. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So there we have it, folks. There we have it, all the way from Minnesota. Rosemary giving us her take about this, and an excellent take it is. And I would like to continue along the lines of sacred masculine. I mean, the masculine, in primeval times or prehistoric times, the hunter-gatherer societies that were around the world. Well, the man was always out there with the spear protecting. And as we did our Wachuma ceremony in the Andes, that was also discussed there, that one of the male roles within the primitive societies was that of a food provider, a hunter, a warrior, and a protector. Protecting the women, protecting the children, providing the food for the women to prepare. These types of things, and it's a great symbiosis. If you look at prehistoric society, it's a great example on how the genders have their responsibilities based upon in the physical sense, based upon body size and strength and prowess at hunting or prowess at fighting or defending, that allow the different genders to coalesce around the very specific jobs that they have. Well, that's the same thing with the Kundalini. Sacred feminine is indeed nurturing you. She is indeed part of the system that within the Kundalini is causing you to feel the expansion at the base of your spine, the expansion within the pelvic girdle, which can sometimes be translated as pain, lower back pain, and of course, we always try to fix that, but with Kundalini, you don't really get to fix that. She is nurturing us from chakra to chakra to chakra. She is in the activated state. She's lifting that energy up to a certain chakra, then bringing it down, and then lifting it up to another different chakra, and then bringing it down, and so on and so forth throughout the day, throughout the night. As you have the Kundalini working its process within you. But sacred male is also doing this. Sacred male is giving you stimulation on your crown. He's giving you levels of stimulus through solar radiation, which, you have to be prepared in a certain way. You have to be, I don't think the word isn't purified, but you have to have your physiologics prepared by the sacred genders in certain ways for you to partake of specific levels of energy coming off of the environment, such as solar radiation or cosmic radiation, which is another aspect of sacred masculine. And so it's very important for people to understand that Sacred Father has a huge effect on us. And for those of you that are Tantra and you're working the Tantric nature, the Tantra practices, especially if you're doing wet Tantra, which is Tantra where people are making love with the Tantra, and they're looking into each other's eyes, and they're saying certain prayers, and those prayers and that ocular gazing, the sacred gaze, is a recognition of sacred feminine, sacred masculine, as is being mirrored by the two that are practicing the Tantra in that way. So for those of you that are interested in practicing Tantra or that type of Tantra, make sure that you sit in the Mayatuna position and that you gaze into each other's eyes as you mingle other areas of the body, as you merge other areas of the body. Make sure that you merge the sacred gaze as well. And and do that and allow that to occur, because that encourages both sacred genders to participate in what you're doing, and for you to participate and to stimulate and to mirror what will be happening or is already happening at the top of your head. So it's very, very important for people who are practicing Tantra to realize what it is they're doing, because, when you do those types of things, you can encourage a Kundalini activation, and that kind of an activation, if you don't know what's occurring, can be very, very spontaneous, very beautiful, very loving, very great, graceful, but also frightening in the fact that it just doesn't stop. Keeps on going for a while, and it can scare your family, can scare your friends. And so make sure that if you're practicing that type of a practice, that you understand what it is you're playing with, in a way. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just, what it is you're engaging, what kind of levels of energy are you engaging when you practice these types of techniques. Sacred masculine is all around us. Sacred feminine and sacred masculine join together to allow life to occur on this planet and other planets. Let's not think for a nanosecond that there isn't life on other planets. There is. And they also have the effect of sacred masculine and sacred feminine. Whether or not any of the cultures or any of the life forms that are on those other planets recognize it in the the split genders that we have here on this world, at least, some of the mammals and some of, a lot of the different creations will go with the male and female aspects for reproduction. Some species don't need it. Some species can just procreate on their own by themselves without splitting up into genders. But for the most part on this planet, it is a gender-based life rule, life creation rule on this world. And so yeah, the sacred parents team up to allow life to occur on this world and other worlds. And it's very, very helpful for Kundalini people to begin to take note of this. And if you're a married person, look at your spouse in a different way. When you merge with your spouse, feel and allow yourself to merge with that spouse with a different understanding, with an understanding of higher qualities that are coming in. If you're doing the sacred gaze, really, really get into that and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be vulnerable to the gaze of the sacred male or the sacred female, as the case may be for you. Allow these things to occur, and always, always, always now begin to look at sacred masculinity in the environment, and it's those cylindrical objects like the Washington Monument in Washington D.C. is a very, very sacred masculine type of thing. It's very tall. It's an upthrust. It looks just like the male gender, the reproductive organ of the male, which in the Sanskrit terms they call the Shiva Lingam, and so I'll go with Sanskrit as far as that goes. So you can see the buildings look a lot like Shiva Lingams, and you can see that everything that protrudes from the soil has the quality of a sacred masculine upon it. Even the mushrooms, you look at the mushrooms and they, very, very, very much resemble sacred male anatomy. And this is not accidental, my friends. This is something for you to understand. This is something for you to begin to relate to in a positive way. And this doesn't mean that, you go online and you start looking for photography of sacred male sexual organs. Although, if that's what will work for you in order to help allow you to give recognition and validation to sacred male, then go ahead. Go ahead and look at that photography, or look at those paintings, or look at that sculpture. Look at different forms of art that depict sacred masculine organs, and begin to understand what that's all about. In India, they've got a little bit more of an acceptance with the Shiva lingams. They have statues that are just really, really big Shiva lingams, and they have small little stone things that people can take with them that are, cylindrical in design, and those represent a Shiva lingam, and a lot of people will put that on their altar as well. The sacred masculine's effect upon the Kundalini is diverse. You'll feel a lot of heat sensations coming from sacred masculine. I felt heat for years and years and years and years, and it's not always heat, because sometimes sacred feminine comes in with her very, very chilly cold, the frozen, like you're like there's ice water in your veins. But for the most part, for me, in my equation, it's been a constant level of heat that radiates out from me and will steam up the windows or things of that nature. And that's the sacred male, and I honor him. I don't try to turn that down. I just acclimate to it, and I allow that to occur. And I encourage other people to acclimate to it in such ways so that you're not trying to control the divine. One of the big communications that came to me from the Kundalini in my first ayahuasca ceremony is that you're not allowed to control the divine. You're not allowed to control the divine, and I experienced both sacred feminine and sacred male in the 4 ceremonies that we partook of. And sacred male is a very, 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 very big part of a person's Kundalini awakening event. A lot of the sacred masculine, of course, I've talked about the temperature, but let's also talk about, about destruction and how the sacred male will come in and just destroy your ideas of how life should be, how society is. Is science correct? Is it incorrect? What levels of ego or infatuation are you involved with? And boom, sacred masculine comes up and begins to destroy that, and very much a destroyer of the old and a welcoming of the new. It's very, very similar to, plowing a field. And when you plow the field, you use that sharp end of the plow, and that sharp end of the plow, of course, is a representation of the Shiva lingam, the sacred masculine, and as that inserts itself into the soil, the sacred feminine, the surface, and however deep that plow is going to go, destroys that current environment of the topsoil, turning it under and exposing the soil under the field to the surface of the field, and so basically changing and burying the old and bringing that new soil to the surface, so that the plants will have that nutrition to go through, and the soil is aerated, and a lot of different reasons that you plow the field. It makes it easier to plant the seeds, and so on and so forth. And it's very important for people to understand that sacred masculine has this huge role to play. And so I really want you to look at your husband, look at your father, look at your brother, look at your uncle, look at your male cousin, look at your boyfriend in a different way. See that man as a representation of sacred masculinity. Not that they're always acting that way. You don't need to make that assumption. But if you just see them, and these are unspoken communications, and you see the body of the man and the attitude of the man, and you hear the man speak, the timbre of the voice, and the masculinity imbued in just the way they are, just being who they are. See that sacred masculine within them. See that, recognize that, honor that, and validate that within them. It's very important for people to do this, to begin to expand beyond just the masculine or just the feminine, into areas of sacred masculine 50%, sacred feminine 50%. A lot of the cultures that are here on this world refuse to acknowledge the ability femininity to receive enlightenment, and this is just not true. Of course, Shakti is able to give enlightenment to sacred feminine and the female on this world, but there is no question in the spiritual communities of this world about whether sacred masculine can be enlightened. That is a given for, like, even in some aspects of Hinduism or Sanatana, it's a given that, oh, well, yes, men of course can be, oh, yes. The big question mark is hanging over the sacred feminine. It's like, well, what does she do? They don't really want to recognize that because they're so imbued with the one half of the sacred couple. And this ties into whether or not people want to have a daughter or a son. There's still places in the world where the daughters are basically killed so that the woman can conceive a son. They want that son. They want that son to be able to work the fields or to receive the gifts of the parents when the parents pass away. And it's just not correct. It's an incorrect attitude. Sacred masculine and sacred feminine are equal in their ability to have ascension, in their ability to have enlightenment, in their ability to incur a Kundalini equation upon you, the listener. So I think it's very important for people to understand that. And I'm going to go back here now and talk with Miss Brooke. Are you able to talk with us today?
Yes, I can talk.
Okay, so tell me how you honor sacred masculine in your life.
Well, I know that, when you were speaking earlier about how it rises, I'm very aware of my masculine side and my feminine side. I feel like they're obvious to me, and so I feel like, in the morning, in the earlier part of the day, I feel that part of me. So there's an honoring of it.
Because you're a female, what does the sacred male feel like to a woman as you feel him in the morning?
Well, there's a sense of, are you laughing? I'm sorry, I'm driving in the car at the moment, so I can't.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I mean, for me, and I don't know if this is balanced, and there's a sense of dominance or I don't know how to explain it.
Aggression or aggressive? Yeah,
there can be, yes, there's the aggression, protection. I don't know. It's a very masculine sort of energy that comes out of me. That is, there can be aggression, dominance, like a conquer thing.
And so, how does the sacred feminine within you differentiate from that?
I don't really know. I think I'm really just, at the moment I'm just.
Is she more nurturing,
oh, yes.
more willing to give love and give guidance and help?
Well, it's like the exact opposite of that. It's like the other side to that. It's the complement to that side. She's nurturing. She's she's at the same time she's protective. She's very sensitive in ways that the masculine side isn't. She's aware in ways that I don't know. It's
something for you to. Are you able to look through the environment as you're driving there? Can you see blue around you at all?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of blue.
I just want to invite you to let that come into your eyes and Let yourself drink of that blue, my dear. And I want to thank you for being on the program today.
Thank you so much, Chrism.
All right. Putting you in the blue here. And coming over to Santara here. And Santara, tell me, how is your relationship with sacred masculine?
It has changed. It fluctuates, Chrism. I remember some years ago, Kundalini brought me into a very strong recognition of the sacred male in my life in so many ways. And I remember it happened all at the same time. You know, I began to see it everywhere. I began to see the sacred male in nature, in myself, in my husband, in my sons. You know, I began to become obsessed, as I think back, with Shiva Lingam, you know, the symbolism. I began to see it in everything. I began to see the Shiva Lingam in trees, in leaves, the blades of grass. At the same time, the blue that you're speaking of, that was amazing. I began to gather, I'd see blue glass or I'd see blue things and I'd put them on my altar, and I began to very much, very much look at men in my life and very much look at, like what you were saying there to Brooke and what Brooke was sharing about the differences between, let's say, protection and nurturing. I mean, it's not so explicit now, but I can remember really understanding how nurturing is a little bit different to protecting, and the strength of the male and that dominance. That wasn't a negative thing. It was amazing when I was in that space of being so aware of it. And another thing, Chrism, is, you know, the sun and the heat, I experienced that a lot, but the blue of the sky as well is another thing that is so male and so sacred male for me. And one of the things you were talking there about the, you know, I loved that image of the plough going into the earth. That was so beautiful, and the way the plough turns the earth over from what's hidden and exposes it. And I find as well that for me the sacred male does that. It's like the sun gets into parts of me, that the divine male, that I'm inclined to hide, that I'm not so inclined to want to expose in myself. And the divine male, that it does that. And another thing is the order. And another aspect is, I mean, in nature as well, we always think of nature, I think, as being divine feminine. We think, well, I used to do a lot, but I see a lot of the order and the sequence and the beauty of how things happen in that way as being a male aspect of nature. Yeah, that's what's coming to me now.
That was beautiful. It's
you know,
wonderful,
yeah, I mean, I agree with you when you say about, you know, the sacred male destroys the ideas that we might have previously had. I mean, that would certainly have been my experience. And destroy sounds negative, but it's actually an amazing thing. It's like what you're saying about the plough. It exposes and reveals that which, you know, maybe I, as my divine feminine, you know, was inclined to nurture and keep down. And as for the Tantra, I mean, yeah, that also, you know, the expression and the recognition of the sacred male, and at the very same time the recognition of the presence of the sacred female or the feminine, and that merging that happens, that is just very, very beautiful to be able to do that as well. I mean, that's something that's I wouldn't have always had that, you know, that understanding. Kundalini has helped all of that within me, you know. And I think that it started very much, Chrism, with, you know, getting a better understanding of the divine feminine or the divine female. And then it was later that, I mean, a few years ago, but a few years after my awakening, that I really became aware of the divine male aspect. And that is such an amazing, beautiful thing to begin to, be able to relate to myself and to the world and appreciate and love it, as much as I do the divine female, the divine feminine. I'm stopping now because I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. It's all good.
But yeah, so they're my feelings. Yeah.
Did you notice in your sons that natural proclivity to destroy and then rebuild?
Yes. But I mean, even things, Chrism, the way they move, the way the man moves, the way the man speaks, the way that he has order, the way that he is different, and respecting and, respecting that in the men in my life, and that aspect that's also within me that I really wouldn't have seen as much before,
Right.
Yeah. And also another thing that can happen, and that happened for me, was I had a lot of dreams about the divine male, a lot of, and some of them were very sexual dreams that were all part of this unfolding within me.
Well, that would be a big part of Kundalini. The Kundalini would definitely send that nature for sure. Now, since I have you on the line, and I'm hearing you so perfectly and clearly, do you have announcements that you'd like to make?
I do indeed. I shall begin by saying that if people would like to make a donation, they can do that in a number of ways. And the first way, and I suppose the most, the easiest way really, is to go to the website and there's a donate button and you just make a donation via your card or through PayPal. And the place to go is www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com, and you can make a donation there. Also, Western Union is another way you can make a donation, and if you would like more details on that, drop me a line to kundalinimatters@gmail.com. And as I've said before, donations really, are not expected and they're not obligatory. And I want to be kind of casual about it, but at the same time, I want to invite you to also make a donation if you're in a position to do that, because it is well used, it is gratefully received, and it is really a wonderful thing to receive from the people that are able to do so. So again, it's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. And that's really the only announcement, Chrism. There is nothing else happening. Sure, there's not. There is a seminar coming up in July, isn't there? And a possible one in Berlin in September. And they're the only,
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. And I would like to give people some information on where they can find some of this material if they want to read it. If you go to Kundalini Awakening System, #1.com, to that website, and that's Kundalini Awakening Systems 1.com. There's a lot of writings there that pertain to these subjects, but you can also join some very specific communities. Kundalini Awakening ! On Google+, Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo groups, and then on Facebook we have Kundalini Awakening ! We have Kundalini Awakening Systems 2, Kundalini Awakening Systems 3, Kundalini Healing, we have Kundalini People, we have Kundalini Journeys. These are all groups and communities. We have the Kundalini Radiance community. These are all communities based upon Kundalini and the different aspects of Kundalini. And they have various populations and various posting rates. And so we have a bunch of different ones so that hopefully we are able to you can find one that will suit the needs of you and how you would like to obtain information about this level of Kundalini. Also, if you go to YouTube, on YouTube you can go chrism.kundalini, and about 338 videos may come into view for you. And these are all free, and you can partake as much as you want or as little as you want. from the information that's being given there. And for many of the videos, I'd like to thank Amelia Santara for being in them and for filming them. And same with Magdalene de Deus for being in them and for filming them, and the various people that I have filmed, like Brooke Robertson or Rosemary Goliath, or the different folks that I have filmed, giving their input and their experience with the Kundalini. I'd like to thank everybody that has participated in the building of such a library of information as we have on the YouTube network at Chrism.Kundalini. And so there you have various places to go. If you want to contact me personally, you can go to kfireforall, that's KFIREFORALL at yahoo.com, and you can talk with me in a private message there. And so getting back to this, it's very, very important for people to recognize the sacred male, the sacred masculine in nature. Look at the mushrooms. Look at the different mushrooms that you have. And I'm talking about the cylindrical mushrooms. They have the long and the fairly thick stalk, and that's coming out of the area where they're growing, and it's blossoming into a much larger end point. And this is very much like a Shiva lingam. This is very, very much like the male anatomy. And I want you to recognize that. And for those of you that like to participate or to partake of mushrooms, recognize that as you're partaking of the mushroom. The same thing with the banana. The same level of yang energy, masculine energy coming through the banana is another way of a person to recognize the solar aspect of the banana, the yellow color of the banana, and of course the reminiscent that it has of sacred male anatomy, and also the superfood quality to this. If you look at the flesh of the banana, it's very much the same color as some of the components of sacred masculinity, and it's very it's very nutritious. It's it's a superfood. You could almost live off of bananas and water, and look at that. God, divinity is telling you something when you see these things in nature. It's very important for you to understand that we are reminded constantly about where we're going and what we should be paying attention to, constantly. And in many ways we do have that approach. If you look at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, that's just a very, very large Shiva lingam with really cool light shows at night. You look at the different skyscrapers in the different areas, like in Dubai, that have that huge skyscraper. It's just one big tall Shiva lingam. You can go around the world in all the different cities of the world, and you can see this mapped out right in front of you. So it's time for you to validate the sacred masculine, not just in your spouse or your brother or your father or your grandfather, but inside yourself. It's like Rosemary was saying, that she doesn't really recognize sacred masculine within herself so much, and that it's time for that validation to occur. You don't get to have Kundalini and ignore one half of the equation. You don't get to do that. Sacred masculine. Now I see BlogTalk is kind of messing with my. Geez, I wonder if I'm being heard anymore. Mary Jean or Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez, can you type and let me know that I'm still being heard? Because I don't know if I'm talking to the air right now. And so when you hear that, give me a type, and I'll just continue to talk here. But my whole screen started to flash on that end, so I'm not quite sure if it's still broadcasting. Okay, Mary Jean's typing, and yes, okay, very good, very good. And so look at the sacred blue, look at the sacred male, and it looks like we have a question. So looks like I'll come over here to Rosemary again. Rosemary, do you have a question?
I'm just remembering that last ceremony we did at ayahuasca. It wasn't the ayahuasca; it was the other
The Wachuma.
Yes. And that whole, it was 8 in the morning till 9 at night. And the input from Alonzo was from the grandfather and the grandmother. And it was really clear the balance of that. And that in our human condition, there were things to look at. And that just all came to mind. And if I may, I'd like to share that little piece I did about my grandfather.
Okay.
It was an amazing impact on my life. We lived in my grandfather's house, and he was first-generation German, and he was a little harsh. And we were 6 little girls around all the time, so it was pretty annoying to him. He loved us, but he was a farmer, and 2 of his sons were farmers, and they were. My grandfather was probably at least 60 when I was born, or older. He lived to be 90, but I all of a sudden, in that setting, realized all those everyday days that he did as the father provider in the family, milking those cows, getting the milk to the dairy, and likewise his sons. And it was something that I never saw, never looked at. So it is him being that the male in the family. And it just crossed my mind now as an appreciation, again, of that. And for when males are providing, I guess. And we do that too. We women do too. But how both lines, I guess we could say, from grandfather and father and grandmother and mother are teaching us things that do get blended in us. I'm not out milking cows, but
but you're out spreading the Kundalini, and you're spreading that knowledge, showing the movies, and you're doing that type of work, and it's really, I think that you can begin to really expand a little bit on your knowledge base and your explanation to other people about the effect of sacred masculine upon Kundalini.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, thank you very much, my dear, and thank you for asking that question and giving that feedback and that story about your grandfather. Thank you.
It was very touching. I'm very grateful that we did that service. Thank you.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Rosemary Goliath. And I'm going to come down here to Joey. Hi, Joey.
Hi.
How has sacred masculine affected you in your life, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I have to say I'm very impressed with what Amelia and Rosemary and Brooke had to say. I'm thinking I haven't really given that a lot of thought. One thing I do is whenever I am loving and thanking and trusting, just left my head, Shakti, I always include Shiva because that seems right to me.
Oh, very good. Good. Maybe that's a communication to you from your Shakti as well, to do that.
So other than that, I can't really think of anything very deep.
let the seed be planted within you, Joey. Let the seed of recognition of the sacred masculine within you to be honored, as you are, as you're kind of being guided to do already. It's very good. It's very good, my dear. And thank you for joining us on the program today.
Oh, thank you. It's a wonderful program.
And coming into the blue with you, and there you have it, everybody. That's Joey in Minnesota, and the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Mary Jean writes on the group, when the male and the female merge inside of us, do they sometimes act from the male and female separately, or can the merger become so complete that they act as one most of the time? And it can be so complete. For me, speaking for myself, yes, indeed, I have sacred male and sacred female with me complete. I have a hard time just. I know that because in our society, sacred masculine is pushed so hard that the masculine, the sacred male within me, is pushing me hard to bring an honor and a validation of the sacred feminine into this society. And so you hear me quite a bit, going on and on about Shakti and the sacred feminine, because sacred masculine is pushing me to do that because of the imbalance within our society. But yeah, they can come as a singular gender, or they can come as a merged dual gender. It depends on what it is they want to communicate to you. And so yes, they can both, they can come to you individually, or they can come to you merged. Whether it's most of the time is going to depend upon your equation within the Kundalini, where your balances are, where your karma is, things of that nature. But yeah, it's a very good question, Mary Jean. Thank you for asking it. And I'm gonna move the microphone back to Santara here, and I'm gonna open this up to any questions that you may have collected, Santara.
Okay, Chrism. Okay, I do have questions. Tumblr. I thought I had them here in front of me, so I don't. I thought I had. Okay. I do. I have a piece of paper here. I had put it down. Okay. So the first question comes from the group, and it was about random bruising on the body. And the question was about Kundalini. Can Kundalini result in random bruising on the body?
Yes. That can be. It also can be a communication from Kundalini to increase your vitamin C complex. To shield against some of the easy bruising that can occur. Typically, bruises come from an impact on the outside to the inside of the body. But sometimes, even sleeping, during sleep, you can have a bit of an episode that you won't remember in the morning. But you may have gone into a kriya. That kriya may have caused you to whip your leg against the wall or against the bedpost or something of that nature. You can have a big bruise there as you wake up, and you just kind of go, well, how the heck did that happen? You won't remember doing it in your sleep. And so it'll seem like phantom bruising has come to pass. And sometimes that can occur. There's nothing that the Kundalini cannot do upon the body. But for the most part, it's going to be an impact scenario with the bruising. And whether or not you remember, having that impact event doesn't matter. But the Kundalini can bring you into a level of kriyas, where those kriyas themselves can cause bruising upon the body. So make sure that you're taking your vitamin C complex, not just straight vitamin C, but make sure that you have at least 500 milligrams of bioflavonols and 500 milligrams of hesperidin, 500 milligrams of rutin, or things, percentages along those lines, if you can find it. I know Solar Ray has a good product out there, and so if you look for the Solar Ray product, SOLARAY, and you look for the vitamin C complex, that can go a long ways into protecting your body against bruising that may have occurred through a vitamin C deficiency. But also with the Kundalini itself, it can bring a person into levels of expression that can cause an impact to occur that would cause bruising, or that would cause bruising to occur just through the presence of Kundalini in the body. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. What happens to our hormones during the process? Are they constantly changing all the time, or will there be any normal occurrence at some point, or will it always be ups and downs the entire life?
Typically constantly changing, although it will change from what was normal for you pre-Kundalini, well, that normalcy will disappear. Once again, the destruction of the old and the inculcation of the new. But yeah, it'll be a constant level of change after the awakening event has occurred, and partially it's the same thing with the activation event too, because the activation is driving a person towards the awakening event, and that being driven and having that activation can also bring on hormonal reorganizations. But certainly after the awakening, and say you're going through Kriyas and you're going through the different dietary requirements that the Kundalini will insist upon, well, that will also incur hormonal changes. And if you can stay away from the caffeine, stay away from the caffeine in all the different forms it comes from, because that initiates a greater level of the fight or flee response within an individual, and that can be very deleterious to your health. That can lead to chronic fatigue syndrome. It can lead to paranoia. It can lead to high levels of anxiety and stress upon the body, because the Kundalini will already begin to hyperstimulate the adrenal glands. And then when you throw caffeine on, that's like throwing gasoline on a fire that's already burning. And that can lead to adrenal burnout. And so do your very, very best to stay away from caffeine, stay away from high fructose corn syrups, stay away from hot spices if you're early on in the activation. Don't do these things. Let your diet reflect the seriousness and the validation that you give Kundalini in your life. And so, yeah, the hormones will be in a constant level of change. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Can you ask Chrism if phones and electrical devices and Wi-Fi have more of an effect on a Kundalini person?
Well, yeah, but not just a Kundalini person, on anybody. With these telephones, these high-powered iPhones like I have here, that can irradiate you. I mean, it can really, it can, even putting the laptop on your lap, you're exposing from my standpoint, I'm, exposing the testicles to high levels of Wi-Fi energy, and having a router here in the house, the whole body is being permeated with this type of waveform, and you don't have to have it. You can just do the cable thing. You can just hook your computer right up to a cable, and as we did in Peru, and get even get faster service. I mean, but yeah, Wi-Fi and television signals and the radiation from telephones and from laptops and from the routers that are everywhere, they can indeed have a deleterious effect upon the Kundalini awakened person, or the awakening or activated person. The Kundalini can also protect you from that too. Kundalini knows what it is she wants me to do, and so she allows me to partake of this level of technology, to give her grace and his grace into the populations. Kundalini allows me to do that, and so in some ways I'm being given a prophylactic against that kind of damage. I know that I don't handle Bluetooth well for very long. I also know that the Kundalini will come right into the computer and start changing the computer the way it sees fit. And sometimes that computer will not survive, or that phone will not survive. I've noticed with the Apple products, they tend to survive a little bit longer than the PC products when it comes to sustained Kundalini presence upon the body. That seems to be the case. But eventually they die too. And so, yeah, the Wi-Fi can have a deleterious response, and you have the option of just going straight into the phone with a cord and just having multiple cords for multiple rooms that allow this to occur. And I've had people come right up and tell me, "Oh my God, the Wi-Fi almost killed me." Oh, I haven't had that experience with the Wi-Fi. I've had some negative experiences with the Bluetooth, but even then, the Kundalini has changed my physiology to the point where I can handle levels of Wi-Fi, levels of Bluetooth far better than I was able to do in the beginning. Have you had that experience as well, Santara?
Not so much with the Wi-Fi, but I certainly have had experiences with electrical things, Chrism, where I have found it extremely intrusive. And I've been in areas where they would be, we'll say, high wire electricity things, and I can barely stand it. Whether that's got to do with Kundalini or whether that's people feel that anyway, I can't say. I just know that for me, that's the case.
Well, thank you.
Wi-Fi, not so much.
Right. The Wi-Fi for me has not bothered me that much. The radiation from the telephone, however, has.
Yeah.
And I'm very careful with how much time I spend with that phone slapped up next to my head, or with this computer, orbiting my testicles. Very, very conscious of that. And the Kundalini, as I say, can heal that and protect against that. But it's no guarantee that it's going to do that. And unless you're working strongly with the Kundalini, as I'm doing, you don't want it to make this I'm not trying to suggest to you that she's going to automatically protect you because she's protecting me. That's not necessarily going to be the case, but it's not necessarily not going to be the case. You, ladies and gentlemen, will have to determine this for yourself, and as Santara has and as I have as well. And so, yes, the electrical devices, the electromagnetic frequencies, the radiation, the long wave, the short wave radio, the television radio, the AM/FM radio signals, the police channels, all of these things can have a deleterious effect upon the sensitivities of those that are coming into Kundalini, for sure. Hold on.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Next question was, why do some people talk about chakra spinning, but I have never felt that even though my Kundalini is activated?
Sometimes a person can have the sensation of a spin in a specific chakra. That, you get that more from the people that are trying to make a living doing chakra balancing or chakra cleansing or chakra realignment or, all the things that are just I almost said bullshit, but I won't say that. I will say bogus.
Don't.
I will say bogus because these are people that are just guessing. They're not real with this. They don't know what they're doing. They're just guessing at it, and they're following the lines of those that have also guessed with it. Now, sometimes you can indeed feel a chakra spinning within a Kundalini context, but for the most part, people that are going out here and doing chakra spinning. Amelia Santara, as I look at your chakras, well, I just see one is just not spinning the right way. And so, of course, I have to stick my little diddly finger in there and just like, okay, now you're spinning. Oh, that'll be $5,000. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's bogus information. Do not take that in and do not pay to have somebody balance your chakras. Your chakras know exactly what they need to do. The Kundalini knows exactly what it wants to do with the chakras. Don't let somebody's egomania, diddle around with your energetic physiology. Do not do that. This whole chakra spinning thing and, balancing thing, it's silly. It is silliness, and it is a level of charlatanism that you don't need to participate with. You don't need, and I know there's a great lack of information about Kundalini in the world, and I'm trying to rectify that. But for the most part, for those of you that feel like I have anything to give to you with regards to Kundalini information, the chakras and the Kundalini are well equipped to be able to handle what it needs and what the Kundalini wants to have done upon your physical system. You don't need to have somebody who, bought a $10 certificate for chakra balancing on the web, or $10,000 certificate. It doesn't matter. They don't know what they're doing, and they don't need to stick their fingers into your energetic process. So I'm over and out with that one, dear Amelia.
Okay. Thank you, Chrism. Can you say a little bit about why the ayahuasca is different for a person who is already awakened?
Well, it's definitely one of the short paths. Ayahuasca is different because it is a temporary doorway into direct Kundalini stimulation. But for a person that already has the Kundalini up, well, I mean, like for instance, myself, I didn't need to take ayahuasca. I had no need of that at all. But I know that many people are taking ayahuasca, and they are coming into it from that short path vector. And for me to give them any kind of authentic help, I wanted to have that experience. So my Kundalini agreed to allow me to have that experience. And boy, oh boy, did the sacred couple give me some amazing experiences. You basically will arrive at the platform that you're already in within the Kundalini. So basically, you have the Kundalini awakened within you or activated within you. The Kundalini doesn't reinvent the wheel. It takes you from right where you are already within itself. So let's if you have levels say 1 through 9, if you're and 9 being the highest level, 1 being the lowest level. So let's just say a person is at level 7 with the Kundalini. Well, then when you take the ayahuasca, you're coming at it from level 7. You're not going all the way back to level 1. So the ayahuasca and the Kundalini recognize where you are with it. And so if you're at level 7, well, that is your platform for interacting with Kundalini vis-a-vis the ayahuasca. And so that can take you very, very far. In a way, it's honoring how far you've already come. It's honoring that. And it's propelling you from that station that you're already at within the Kundalini and sending you even further within it. But this is a temporary thing, okay? To some degree, it's temporary. I've noticed very specific changes in me that are still there, from the ayahuasca. And, some of these are going to be permanent changes. So yeah, the ayahuasca for the awakened individual is a definite takeoff point. And I've for 26 years I've been fairly strongly connected with Kundalini. I mean, it gives me advice. It tells me how to help specific individuals. It tells me what to say on any of these programs. Kundalini picks the topics, and I just do this stream of consciousness that we've been doing here for this program. And for most of the other programs, if not all of them. And so when you come into the ayahuasca, you take that terrible tasting jungle tea, and you're really able to lift off from that. And actually, because this was my second time taking such strong tea, actually the first time taking strong tea. The first time I took it, I cooked up the tea myself, and I added the chacruna to the ayahuasca, Banisteropsis caapi, and I boiled it down for 12 hours and did the same things. But I think they just had higher quality product to use, a higher quality and more chacruna, higher quality Banisteropsis caapi, which is the Latin name for ayahuasca. And the medicine was very, very, very strong. They call it medicine down there. They don't call it jungle tea. I call it that. But the Kundalini came to me on my very first ceremony as the giant anaconda. I mean, a huge anaconda. And she took me within herself and literally knocked me out for about 20 minutes. woke me up and was giving me all kinds of information about how you can't control the divine and how you must serve the Kundalini and the people and the Kundalini people. And I was given very, very, very specific instructions and very, very specific self-corrections by the ayahuasca / Kundalini. When you already have the Kundalini up, ayahuasca and Kundalini tend to blend into one big program of information and experiential information for you. That's what I found. Did you find that, Santara?
Yes, certainly did, Chrism. I certainly did. I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you're at level 7,
can I just add? That? I suppose my Kundalini has awakened as well. My Kundalini certainly invited me, or I think actually directed me, more like it, to participate. And I think, I've been thinking about this too, and I think that, what happened was the ayahuasca through the Kundalini directing me to take it brought me maybe into areas that might have taken me a bit longer to process or to get there, to expose. There was healing and processing and unfolding and revelation that was very compressed in that time that we were partaking of the ceremonies. And, I think that what you said about it being permanent, I think it is. I think there's a lot of permanent things that have come out of this through the grace of the Kundalini already awakened.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I can still see, I can still remember everything that occurred. I can see the column with the 1,000 blue eyes. I can see the peacock feather trails, and how the Kundalini and the ayahuasca teamed up to make a park-like setting for me to experience, and then of course the ceiling coming open and divine light just spreading throughout everything and pulling me into itself, and I'll never forget
the thing into itself. Isn't that's the thing about it, isn't it? Bringing us into itself, and that we actually really experienced that. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I for those that can do it, I'd suggest that you go down to Alonso Del Rio's place in Ture, Peru. You can Google his name. He's got a fairly strong web presence, and contact them and come down there and do that, or come down with me when I lead another party down there. You can contact me at kfireforall if you're interested in doing that. kfireforall@yahoo.com. I will be sending another group down there. I'm going to take a suggestion from a friend of mine and maybe go back down in February of next year, kind of the same time of the year as we just did it lately, which was basically the month of February, and experience that, and to really, don't go there to visit Peru so much. Go there to visit the ayahuasca more than anything else. That's definitely what I would recommend. I would definitely. And we did 4 ceremonies in a very short period of time with very few days of processing between them. I found that to be perfectly all right for me. But I know that, some folks may find that to be fairly challenging. There's a big level of processing that occurs afterwards when you're on the plane home or when you get home. There's huge levels of processing through dreams and through waking visions and waking sensations that I still continue to have. But they're all, for me, it was an all good scenario, except the second one where I was trying to help everybody and I couldn't find the coca leaves, and I just basically ran out of juice. And Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez and Aranya teamed up to send me a bit of an energizing force of energy through Elizabeth, and I was able to recommit to what was going on. So I can't say it was all good, but see, I was doing a very different scenario. Most people were in the room sitting there having their experience, whereas I was sitting there having my experience and being called to help people in the dark room all over the place, and that fairly fractured a lot of my experiences, certainly for that second one. But the Kundalini in me was able to just adjust. She made that adjustment, and I was able to help people fairly clearly after that experience. So the third time and the fourth time, it was very, very good experiences. All of them were very good experiences from a Kundalini awakened standpoint, because, as Amelia said, you get to encounter consciously that force that you're encountering consciously in a different way. So the ego consciousness gets to encounter the Kundalini in a very real way, and that's very helpful for the ego control as well. And so there's just so much. I mean, I could go on and on and on about this, about the awakened response to ayahuasca. It's a very powerful response, and you don't have to do it 100 times like you see some of these folks doing it, because most of us came into the Kundalini when we came into the Kundalini before we even got there. So many levels of work had already been done. So many levels of karma had already been balanced, and so when we had the jungle tea, well, it's almost an instant interaction with divinity. It's for like Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez, having the Kundalini come to her as Aranya, which is the sacred spider, and speaking to her and talking with her and downloading to her. Absolutely phenomenal. And Elizabeth, if you want to call in, the number is 347-934-0026. I see you in the chat room. If you'd like to call in and maybe speak on this a little bit, I welcome you to the show. You go through, like a lot of the other people in the room, I could tell were experiencing karma. They were experiencing an accelerated way of having karma, but also having the experience and the knowledge of what the ayahuasca wanted to prepare them for with regards to their own Kundalini. And these are the unawakened people that Alonzo and his wife invited into the ceremonies. For the awakened people, we're already there. We're already living an ayahuasca experience in a way, and so that mixed with the tea. Oh, Elizabeth says my phone is dead. Well, okay, maybe another time, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Maybe next week. It would be lovely for people to hear. I know she came on last week, but she didn't speak about Aranya to the. It would be lovely to hear you, Elizabeth, if you could maybe come in next week.
Yeah.
Charge up that phone.
That would be great. Charge that phone up.
And
there'll be a few things that I would do differently. I mean, less time at the airports for sure. Getting people so that once you're leaving Peru, well, you're not leaving Peru by spending 2 or 3 days at an airport. And I know that may be cheaper for people, and I understand the finances behind that. But I would definitely recommend that people don't spend so much time at the airport after an ayahuasca experience. On the plane, you're kind of in your own little cubicle there on the plane, and you can process a lot more. And I did, certainly on the way back, processing a lot and picking up various diseases to improve my immune response. But yeah, which you're still coughing that stuff, aren't you?
I still have I do indeed. I mean, it eased a little bit, but it never really went away, Chrism. So that's really interesting. I've had an interesting, since the year started in that way. But anyway, that's just the way it is. But I mean, I'd agree with you. I would certainly do things differently as well. And that's how we learn,
Well, and even time with it. Like the next time I go, say next February, it's going to get a lot tighter, much tighter.
Yeah.
and much more time appreciative, i.e. you're not waiting at airports for this or that, or waiting at bus stops for this or that. Things will go much smoother the next time. So if you are interested, go ahead and give me a private email at kfireforall@yahoo.com, and we'll definitely put you on the group to go.
Because there is a Facebook group. So if people are interested, it would be worth going on and just reading there about our last trip and just expressing an interest.
Peru, Kundalini. I believe it's Ayahuasca, Peru, Kundalini. So that's the name of the group. Yeah. And I agree with Amelia. I think that would be a great resource for people to go to. Also, I've been posting some videos, and I still have some more videos to post with regards to that trip. And so those will be coming online shortly as well. But the Kundalini person, or the activated person, you take off from the platform that you have earned already with the Kundalini. You don't start from ground zero. You go straight into it. And so if you're not prepared to come face to face with the Shakti or the Shiva, don't do it. But if you are prepared to come face to face with that which is already enlightening you, then come with me. We'll go. We'll do the ayahuasca. We'll do it at Alonso's place there at Ture, Peru, and 9,000 foot altitude, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of coca leaves available for that metabolic balancing that you require when you're not used to 9,000 foot elevation. So
and it really works. It's quite incredible actually how that works, isn't it? The leaves. Yeah. And
I would like to say thank you. I'm going to take a bit of a moment here to say thank you to you, Santara, and your husband, John O'Connor, for providing this show for the people to listen to. These are the jewels that you're giving to the people. And I'd also like to thank Josephine Smith for this laptop that I'm doing this program on, and the iPhone that I was able to take down there. I'd like to thank Josephine Smith for her contributions to this work that's coming out. And I'd also like to thank Rosemary Goliath for her contributions, going all over the state of Minnesota with Joey and with other people that are helping to bring this information into the populations in a greater way. I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank Joey, and I'd like to thank everybody that's contributing. Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez is doing some great work on Kundalini Awakening, ! And I'm going to ask her to even expand herself into the other groups and onto the Yahoo group as well, because she's doing great work. Her Kundalini through Aranya is coming through very, very clearly. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez for the work that she does. And of course, Mary Jean and Alana Seeker and the various guests that are here. It's always good to see that there isn't an audience that is there. I'd like to thank Brooke Robertson for her writings and the downloads that she's beginning to have, and to thank her for bringing those also into the reading environment of Kundalini Awakening.
Chrism, your chair is even worse than normal. Sorry.
All right. Sorry about that.
And I know about the chair, and I'm thinking, oh my God.
It's okay. I'll stop. I reclined it. And I'd like to thank everybody that is providing information. I know Brooke has Kundalini Priestess, the page there that I would encourage everybody to go visit. I have a few pages out there myself that you can also visit. Chrism Kundalini is one page. Temple Tantra is another page if you want to visit a Tantra page. It's so good to be a part of a group of people who are so expansive and so willing to give of their grace, through their grace, give give the gifts of their of material gifts like Centaura, John O'Connor, and Josephine Smith have been giving, and Rosemary and the people in the whole Minnesota Kundalini community, giving their material gifts and going to these different expos and spreading this information around. It is so very important. It literally saves lives, ladies and gentlemen. It literally saves people from either committing suicide or getting, incarcerated into a psych ward or these types of things. Get this information out here. Let people know that Kundalini is not evil. It is not hurtful. It is very, very much a blessing. And all people need is just a little bit of information, and they can survive this, and they can not only survive it, but they can thrive within it. And that's a very important thing. So thank you everybody for everything that you give into this process.
And thank you, Chrism, of course. Thank you too. Okay, so the next question comes from the Shaktipat group, from somebody with Kundalini who's participating, and they ask, I've been very emotional and tearful since yesterday. Is this due to Shaktipat or the full moon?
It's a Shaktipat. It's the scatter field, and the Shaktipat that comes through the scatter field will definitely impact the emotional body. And then, add on to it a full moon, then yeah. And especially if you're feminine, and especially if you're coming into your moon time, your menstruation time, then it's all going to cumulatively have a definitive effect upon a person.
And maybe even if you're a man, Chrism, maybe that will you'll get to become emotional.
Well, the sacred feminine within the male will become emotional during that. You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. Or so.
And it's very cool, isn't it? Because we're inclined to think that it's negative when we become emotional and tearful, but it's actually such a positive thing, isn't it? I mean,
very.
In that context.
Absolutely. And so I want to invite all the men that are listening on this program right now to honor the sacred feminine within them. Honor that sacred mother, the sacred father together, both of them. Honor them both. That's what this show is really about. That today is about honoring that. Now, with regards to the Shaktipat, I've noticed that the Shaktipat can be very powerful for some people, and some people won't feel a thing. They're just not ready. As a matter of fact, I had a student come over with her daughter, and she spent the night in the White Room, and she is in the activated, coming into the awakened phase. Her daughter is not, and the Shakti appeared to her as a wolf, as a lion, and as a young woman. And the young woman and the wolf and the lion, were approaching the mother, but they stayed away from the daughter. They wouldn't go near her, and shook to the point where the woman shook her head at the daughter to no, meaning the Shakti is basically telling her that child is not ready for Kundalini yet, and that she will not go to that child. And so the child will have to live her life in a way that she will be able to have the Kundalini later on. But at 9 years old, right now, that child is not prepared. And I don't know why I told you that.
Okay.
All right, next question.
Okay, next question. Okay, so this is on the group. Is anyone or is any person here experiencing what may be perceived as bizarre space-time changes after working within a Kundalini activation? Can you say something about that, Chrism?
Can you repeat the question?
Space-time changes.
Space-time, like losing time type of thing? Oh, sure,
that
that'll
sort
happen.
of thing.
That'll happen. Like
real,
during my ayahuasca experience, I had major missing time. She took me right out of the body. She sucked me into that light, and I was gone, folks. I was gone. I just remember being complimented on the information and on my surrender to Kundalini and the gifts that I try to give to people. free of charge and that type of thing. And I remember that part, and I remember a few other things too. But missing time can happen quite easily within the Kundalini, because she'll just take you out of your body, or you'll be experiencing a Kriya, or you'll be doing anything of a Kundalini nature. Even if you're doing the Tantra lovemaking, all of a sudden, if you're doing Tantra, you started out at, say, we'll just say 6 a.m., and you happen to look at the clock and it's like 10 a.m., and 4 hours have gone by, and you just haven't, because you haven't been inside of time appreciation. And the Kundalini will take you right out of that appreciation. She can give you sudden levels of absorptive attention. And when you're inside of the sudden absorptive attention level, you're taken right out of time. Time doesn't exist for you anymore. And so if you started at 6 a.m. and you look up and it's 12 noon. And all that time, some people would call it missing time. I wouldn't call it missing time, because it's time that has been well used. It's time that is perfect. It's just your memory of what was going on at a specific time is missing, because you're not inside of a time appreciative event. And it's the same thing with the people, doing the Tantra things and things like that. It's just you're outside of the time event. And it's the same with the person that's meditating. If you go into a deep level of meditation and you have the Kundalini activated or awakened within you, that meditation can go for 3 hours when you only started out to do 21 minutes. And you come out of that meditation and you started at 6 and you're looking, it's 9 o'clock now, and you're kind of going, well, what happened? Where was I? That's what the ego wants to know. The ego won't necessarily have its time expectations honored by the Kundalini. By the Kundalini straight of itself, or by the Kundalini within an ayahuasca experience, or a sudden absorptive attention experience. Your appreciation of time will not be honored all the time. Over.
Yeah, and also, Chrism, I've experienced on a few occasions where I have had a very long experience, let's say, just to use your own time, at 6 a.m., but something occurs within Kundalini time that is quite long, but when I look at the clock, 5 minutes have only passed. So that would be the opposite.
2 or 3 minutes have passed, yeah. And you've had this very,
exactly.
very long, amazing event. Yeah. I've had that too, definitely.
Yeah, so that's another way that it can happen, It's not,
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Chrism. There's one other question, and it says, do you have to have a spinal sweep to have a full awakening and have all the chakras functioning? So it's kind of two questions, and
Yes.
Over?
That needs to occur. Yeah, it's over.
I know you've answered it before, but yes. So you do have to have the kunta and to have all the chakras functioning.
The spinal sweep itself functions. Well, the spinal sweep itself will come in different ways for people. It's not always going to be the same way for everybody. But, you got to have some sort of a Kundalini-induced energetic release for yourself to come into the awakened grace. People often confuse activation for awakening. Well, let me tell you, they're very, very different. They're very, very different. Except towards the end of the activation stage, when you're coming into the spinal sweep, that tends to resemble more of the awakened stage. It tends to, But at the beginning of the activation to the spinal sweep, it's a very different scenario. At least it has been for me and for others.
The second part of the question was tagged on, and have all the chakras functioning. The chakras are functioning anyway, aren't they, Chris?
They're functioning all the time. These people, they're kind of buying into the programming that chakras don't function. They don't do the right thing, or they don't know what to do, or we need to have somebody like a chakra doctor come in and diddle around with the chakras to make sure they're working correctly. Reminds me of reminds me of the tourists that came to Yosemite when I was working in Yosemite National Park. They'd come in and they'd look at me with all seriousness and they go, when do they turn the waterfall on?
You're joking.
The waterfall just happens all by itself. Nobody flips a switch and turns the waterfall on. Well, it's the same thing with your chakra. Nobody's flipping a switch and making your chakras work correctly all of a sudden. They're always working correctly. Always.
Okay. Well, Chrism, that's it. That's the end of the questions for
I'm
today.
good. Now, any last words for this episode?
Oh my goodness. Maybe just to say about the divine male again. You know, I think sometimes the male can have a bad press. You know, as being, you know, macho, controlling, that kind of thing. And I suppose just to say that the divine masculine is as much about love as the divine feminine. You know, they're equal, and we need to nurture and recognize the divine masculine when we and see it, as you were saying, you know, consciously maybe bring symbols of the divine male into your home, the blue colors, the Shiva lingams, you know, things. Just open yourself to seeing it in nature, to seeing it all around you. And as you begin to do that, I think it expands, you know, it feeds itself, and we open ourselves more. And divine male and divine female, they are both about love and equally as important.
Agreed. I would like to send blessings to everyone that may be feeling under the weather or feeling sick. I'd like to send blessings to you, blessings of health and happiness. I'd like to send blessings to those of you that are hearing this in the future, the people that are visiting the archives. And I want to say hello and blessings to you and thank you for participating in the program through the archives. I'd like to thank Mary Jean and Rosemary and Joey and Brooke and Amelia and everybody who has participated in the program by virtue of a telephone. I'd like to thank everybody that is listening to this on their computers, and I'd like to say that we will be back next week. Same Kundalini channel, same Kundalini station. I'm going to end it like I started it, and here we go.